Hi guys, this is Christine, your relationship and mindset master doctor and your leverage for change. So today I'll be speaking about the fearful avoidant attachment style. And if you've watched enough attachment videos, you'll come to recognize by now, hopefully, that this attachment style is probably one of the most difficult attachment styles to have because it has both two different attachment styles together, and you can imagine how and they're like at the opposite ends of behaviors. So it's very difficult to manage, but it is possible. It requires work to change to becoming more secure, but it takes committed work and on a regular basis, guys. You can't just try to do something once that you've had problems with over the years. Several years you've been acting from a specific type of belief system and subconscious behaviors, and it will take time to be able to change these behaviors. And this one is the one that you will have to work doubly hard for, because this one really does have a lot of challenges, because it has both the dismissive avoidant type of attachment style, as well as the anxious preoccupied attachment style together. Now remember that not everything when it comes to attachment style, or anything else for that matter, is hard and fast and set in stone. Everything is always going to be on a continuum, and you have to understand that there are certain areas that maybe a particular person may not be challenged with as much as another person, or there may be another area that they're very good at. You know, they've kind of managed that area really well. But on a general basis, and I'm speaking generally now, these are some of the problems that the fearful avoidant really has. And if you're dating someone with this attachment style, it can feel like it's these are the people you hear saying that their relationship is like on and off. It feels like they're on a roller coaster. The fearful avoidant. No, the person in relationship with the fearful avoidant will describe their relationship as something that's on and off. It will be something like they'll feel as if they're on a roller coaster, going up and down, highs and lows, and they're never sure exactly where they're at, and they're actually also very it's just a lot of emotional fluctuations being in a relationship with someone with this attachment style. And actually the person who has this attachment style, this fearful avoidant attachment style, also is going through their own share of emotional upheavals. They're just like they're never sure exactly where they're at. And so this is going to transfer onto the person that they're in relationship with. And so very, very early, guys, if you decide, if you're in a relationship with someone like this, and you have to choose whether it is that this is something that you can actually be in and tolerate and be, be able to manage and be okay with this for a lifetime, or if this is something that you need to get out of. Because when it comes down to it, really, the only person who has the responsibility of changing that attachment style is the person who has it. Nobody else can change that person. Yes, you can support them if you see them working to change it, but you cannot change someone else with another attachment style that can be toxic to your health, or to the relationship, right? So some of the things that really kind of marks this attachment style is that they have a very negative view of themselves, very low self-esteem, feelings of a lack of self-worth. They feel unworthy of having anything really that makes them happy. So they feel unworthy of having relationships, healthy relationships. They feel unworthy of having someone to love them, and so they go around with a very negative perspective, which in itself can be quite toxic, because they're always going to be the ones who sees things in a negative way, sees only the negative and not try to see what the good side of that thing could be. They will always quickly identify the negative thing in something. Always. The first thing they see is a negative thing. And they will actually stick to that and say, and we'll even have an argument around that. Yes, but this is, this, they will always go towards the negative. And that can be very toxic and draining to a partner in a relationship with them. So they have this negative view of themselves too. They feel that they're not, they just don't have the ability to really be successful in anything, and especially in relationships, especially when it comes to relationships that are romantic relationships, which require a lot of closeness and kind of a commitment and kind of being vulnerable, because they have a fear. They have a fear of relationships because when they were younger, when they were in the relationship with their caregivers was very one-sided. They would be the ones trying to really please, go over there and people please and do all the stuff for their parents, and it was never reciprocated. And so they do not trust relationships that they will be happy in them. So they, a lot of individuals with this will only be in relationships that are very superficial. For example, the thing about it is that they require the warmth and the love and the connection that they need it because they never got it as children from their caregivers. And so they go looking for it. But once they get it, they cannot take it. They're not comfortable with it. They fear it. They don't trust that it will last, and so they'll push you away. So that's the push-pull kind of a dynamic that I spoke about earlier, the on-off, that causes this on-off kind of a tendency in relationship with somebody with this kind of attachment style, because they don't trust it. So they'll come close to you because they really need to feel, they love that feeling of connection. They never got it. But once they get it, they fear that you will take it from them. They fear that you will take it from them in some way, that you'll leave them, or you'll cheat on them, or you will just not value them and treat them like basically their parents did, right? They don't trust relationships, just like the dismissive avoidance side of them. That's a dismissive avoidance side of them. Now, the anxious preoccupied is that they need that connection. They want that connection. They crave that connection, that love, that warm, loving feeling that you get when you're in a really healthy relationship. But the dismissive side of them, fear of relationships and not trusting relationships, pushes their partners away. So you can understand that this kind of dynamic can be very taxing and toxic and anxiety producing, and just not pleasant to be in a relationship like that, right? Because you never know quite where you stand. They have this innate fear of getting close to others, while at the same time they need that closeness. And so unfortunately, because of their experiences in their childhood, their behaviors are always centered around protecting themselves against any type of rejection. And they are constantly expecting some type of rejection in their relationship. So they're hyper vigilant at looking at everything that's happening in the relationship. If they call you and you don't respond, or if you're late from work, or if they can't contact you for whatever reason, or if you show and you look at somebody else and they suspect that you're flirting with them, or you just look at them, or somebody else looks at you and they suspect that that person likes you, they're always looking for something that might, almost like they're a self-fulfilling prophecy, that their relationship won't last, that you're going to dump them, or you're going to leave them, or you're going to cheat on them. It's like they have this hypervigilance around looking for something that will happen to make to prove their point that relationships cannot be trusted. At their core, I mentioned earlier that they feel unworthy of being loved and cared for, and so that's why they keep looking for these things. They are very good at reading, because when they were children, because of all the trauma they went through and suffered from their caregivers, they're very good at reading body language and facial expressions, micro expressions. And so if they see something that will, you might not even realize that you did it, because, you know, micro expressions are very automatic. It's like your subconscious, you don't even realize you do it, but they'll see it, because they had to be very good at reading this, because that is how they protected themselves. When they saw that and it indicated danger, any kind of micro expression from their caregivers, and they knew they had to hide somewhere or run away because maybe there's a quarrel coming on, or somebody, you're going to throw something at them, or they're going to abuse them, or whatever it might be. So they are very good at reading micro expressions and body language, and they are on the constant lookout to read, and usually they are going to see the negative parts, because it's almost like they're looking to be a self-fulfilling prophecy of what they expect in relationships, what they've kind of experienced from they were children, right? They are very good at becoming almost invisible in social situations. So you'll be out with friends or family members or something, and they just kind of sit in the background. They're not really participating. They do that because they always expect any kind of interaction in social situations to become almost like they might become the butt of their jokes, because that's usually what happened when they were children. They were like just, and when they maybe their caregivers had people around, they were very good at almost like melting into the background so that they're not noticed, because if they're noticed, they might become the butt of somebody's jokes, or the recipient of some kind of abuse. And so they're very good at becoming almost invisible in social situations. As I mentioned earlier, I believe I mentioned that because of the fact that they fear relationships, and because especially relationships where they may have some kind of a really strong emotional connection with that person, they prefer to have very surface level relationships. And these relationships, of course, are just like casual sexual relationships with anyone, pretty much, or someone who's quite fine, maybe somebody just like them, who does not want to have any kind of an intimate connection or really deep emotional connection with another person. And so they're quite fine having these casual sexual relationships, because these relationships don't require that amount of emotional commitment. But remember, they need the affection that kind of a connection brings, but they cannot take a sustained level of emotional connection, because that scares them. And so you will find these individuals who will probably not be in very in any long-term. When I say long-term, they won't want to probably get married, and if they get married, they will always be it's a very toxic kind of a dance that they do on and off, and the person in relationship with this individual is going to really have a difficult time, especially if they haven't healed, and if they're very sensitive, depending on the person who is in relationship with them. But with anyone anyway, it is going to be hard, because this person just does not have the capacity to really love someone at their very core, and to stay in a sustained, emotionally deep relationship. So guys, I hope that kind of give you some kind of understanding, extended understanding of what a relationship with a fearful avoidant individual will be like, and how it is that they respond in relationships, especially intimate or romantic relationships. Again, I want to remind you that I'm doing a 8-week anxious preoccupied workshop starting in March. I'll put all the information below, so I don't want to sit here and talk about everything. All the information will be below in the description below this video. In the meantime, guys, please, if you found any value in this video, please like and share this video. Especially, please like it, and also subscribe so that you don't miss any other videos, and as soon as they come, you will be notified. All right? So this is Christine, your relationship and mindset mastery doctor, and your leverage for change. Guys, never, never, never stop growing. Take care. Bye-bye.